Jonathan Toupé, and today we're going back into the 1960s United States to check out the cultural themes. Let's go back in time. The number one thing you want to remember about the 1960s is a counterculture revolution. Number one, and arguably most importantly, the Civil Rights Movement. Martin Luther King launched his Birmingham campaign in 1963, trying to desegregate Birmingham and all across the country achieve racial equality for the citizens of the United States. In 1963, Birmingham also banned protests and Martin Luther King was arrested, but that didn't even stop the African American people and their supporters from trying to achieve racial equality. Sorry, I'm just looking for a way that I can see the civil rights marches right here in the 1960s. Oh wait, I don't have to use a spyglass. I can see them right on my television. The television was a very crucial technological advancement that was used mostly in the 1960s for the civil rights movement. For example, the march from Selma to Montgomery was blasted in televisions. Horrible scenes of young children being beaten and nipped by dogs were blasted on the televisions. People could see the horrors right in front of them and the struggles that African Americans were facing. Part of the civil rights movement was spurred on by John F. Kennedy's assassination. People thought he was going to do it, but now he can't. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed, which desegregated the United States legally. The most popular ways that people would protest during the civil rights movement were through boycotts, marches, and sit-ins. In 1963, the Voting Act of 1963 banned literacy tests across the country, leveling the playing field for African Americans in a voting area.
Breaking rocks out here on the chain gang, breaking rocks and serving my time.
One of the most popular ways that African American struggles were represented in the media was through music. Songs like Nina Simone's Work Song ranted against and described the experience of being African American in a time where segregation was still legal in the United States. Music is proof that the 60s was a reaction to the 50s in the United States. It's proof that people were fed up with just conforming to society. They were finally confronting issues such as civil rights. During the civil rights movement, many important protests and marches took place in front of important government buildings just like this one, so that people felt like they could talk straightly to the government. For example, Martin Luther King's famous March on Washington led up to the Lincoln Monument, a famous governmental statue. Sports also reflected civil rights advancements of the 60s. Muhammad Ali was a reigning boxer and the Celtics had the first American all-black starting five. The Vietnam War was popularly thought of as fighting against communism. Fueled by the Red Scare in America and the Cold War against the USSR, it was supported at the beginning, until casualties began to climb into the 50,000s. Americans began to see the truth of the war. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I was too busy thinking about how, once again, like in the civil rights movement, the television played an important part in forming the anti-war movement during the Vietnam War. The television blasted horrible images of the reality of war on the televisions of Americans.
A man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Vietnam War divided the American government and its people, with the whole government led by Lyndon B. Johnson, that wholeheartedly supported the war, and people who were losing family members, friends, lovers. Popular chants included, "Hey, hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today?" that were totally anti-war. The people targeting the government with their words. People were beginning to lose faith in their government. Much of the anti-war movement was evident in the music of the times. Music griped against the injustices of war and preached a message of love and peace.
Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying.
Right now, I have the opportunity to talk to a real-life American mother right now during the 1960s. Let's get it! Hello, Martha. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. So, you are a woman here in the United States, isn't that correct?
Yes, I am.
Now, Martha, are you aware of the war going on right now in Vietnam?
Yes, I'm aware of the war. This war scares me very much. The American people are very divided on this particular topic. There was even a shooting at a university the other day. I'm scared for my children. I don't want the violence to kill them.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear this about you. Now, so you mentioned that this was going into even a shooting. So are the American people really that divided that they started shooting at, I think it was a peace protest, wasn't it?
Yes, a peaceful protest was unfortunately shot upon.
Oh my gosh, did anyone die?
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay, thank you so much for meeting with us, Martha. It was really great to get to know you.
Thank you. It was great to know you too.
Although Martha was talking about the Kent State shooting, which happened in 1970, the themes are the same. The fear of the government stemmed from the 60s, which is why I included that clip.
Anyway,
the counterculture revolution was most evident in the 60s in music and in fashion. During the early 60s, conservative attire was preferred for females in particular. By the end, even men wore vibrant, bright-colored shirts, pants like the hippies, and women sported short, mini skirts, which were anything but conservative. As mentioned, the 60s were a reaction to the 50s. The hippies, yes, they formed as part of the anti-war movement, but they were also forming from non-conformist groups in the 50s, such as the Beatniks. The reason that the hippies were so far out there was because the 50s were so conforming and forcing people into one frame of mind. Right now, I am here with a real life hippie, and we're going to ask him some questions on his views about the USA right now in the 1960s. So, Mr. Hippie, number one, what are your views on the Vietnam War?
We need to send our voice.
Any word about your future, the state of the country right now?
Peace, love.
Thank you so much. Alright, going back to the other parts of the 60s, thank you, Mr. Hippie. We've got a pretty good look at the civil rights movement as it was in the 1960s. Now it's time... What is that noise?
Everyone smiles as you drive past the flowers that glow so incredibly high. You live in taxis that
Whoa! Why are you in my car? Oh, where am I? Hey, what's up, dude? Shouldn't you be out there protesting against the war? Man, I'm a hippie. We don't protest. We don't think government should even exist. The root of all war is government. Is that LSD or cocaine or some sort of drug that you have in my car? What? Nah, man, a lot of my friends do LSD. This is just powdered sugar. It's like my hallucinogens.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I don't even know how I got here. But, peace, man.
Yeah, peace.
The
Thanks
war,
for getting in
just
my
love.
car and not
Yeah.
taking drugs.
Ow, 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 I cut my...
Le corps qui se réveille,
Trying to achieve racial equality.
ta magie qui se réveille. Je t'ai dévoré jusqu'au bout.